Hello, my name is Erica Donison and I'm one of the Alexander Studies online team. This month we have another of our connected conversations where we speak with teachers who combine their Alexander Technique teaching with another modality. And this time I'm speaking with Rossella Buono, who is an Alexander Technique teacher who combines her work with teaching yoga. Welcome, Rossella.
Hi, thank you for inviting. Really nice.
So Rossella is based in Italy, but works also in the UK, and also does some work in Australia, which is where she trained. So as is usual with this series of conversations, we start off with a bit of background. So my first question is, how did you get into the Alexander technique in the first place? And how did you get into yoga? And which one of them came first?
So I used to work with people with disabilities and be very sporty. I had an injury at my knee. And when the knee was reconstructed okay, I started moving around again and I started to have a horrible back pain. And no one ever thought they were connected. So for 2 years, I tried everything I could try, really weird things, really common things. I tried everything till at a dinner party, someone said, why don't you try this Alexander technique? Good for back pain. Sure, haven't tried it yet. I'll do that too. So I went to book a lesson and they sold them in packet of 10. Sure, why not? It'd be nice. So I booked. On the third lesson, I walked back home and started to do a bit of cleaning. And then halfway to the cleaning, I realized that was fine. I had no pain. I just walked and I was fine. That hadn't happened for 2 years. I was fine. So I had no idea what she did to me, but my back pain was gone and never came back in that way. So I went back for the rest of the lessons and no idea what she was doing because I didn't speak English. So she was giving me the lessons in English and I had no idea. When she said walk forward, I thought she was talking about the cheese. Went home and I asked my husband. I told her I broke my knee, but she keeps putting her hands on my neck. All of this in Italian. Is this a knee or a neck? Because he was Italian and he was teaching me English. So I wasn't sure which one was the knee and which one was the neck at that point. It confused me. So years after I realized that with the broken knee, I had got into the habit of tilting my pelvis as I was walking and I was pinching a nerve. And that was all there was to my back pain. It was not because my spine is fused as it is. I was born like that. It's not because I had an injury in my back. It's not because of something else. I was just walking wrong. And she just got me out of that because I had to sink to tilt. She got me out of the habit. It took 3 lessons walking up and down with me not understanding what she was saying much, but a vague idea of what she wanted. And then there was the table work. And honestly, I went back for the table work. That was the best thing in my life at that moment. I just wanted to be on the table. I saw it as I'm good first, and then she puts me on the table. So didn't hope that she'd fix me because she wasn't doing anything for my back pain. She was just making me walk up and down and sit and stand. It was fun. I was learning lots of new words. I loved it. I was okay. And something clicked in my head. I need to understand this because otherwise I can't reproduce it. And when my problem comes back, I'll be alone. So I went at the school for a week. You could book the school for a week. And thing I didn't expect, I absolutely fall in love with it. It was the best. Everyone looked so hot, so beautiful. Yeah. Everyone looked to me like, what's this? It's a school for models. So good. I had no awareness that moving well makes people look better. So the only thing I noticed is that, everyone looked really nice. And then there was the Thursday performance night. Was everyone so good? Everyone singing, playing an instrument. I was like, what am I doing here? I'm a normal person. This is not my place. And back the year after, and I did a term of training. And what I realized in time is that I've got hypermobility. So I'm prone to problems because my joints don't keep together very well. So what happened to my back could happen and did happen in other places. Plus I had a pregnancy, plus I recently had a fall and broke. The Alexander technique is the answer to all of those problems for me because it gives me tools to manage the problems that I can't avoid. Some I'm avoiding, some I'm really good. but others. So I did it for myself. I wasn't expecting to end up being an Alexander technique teacher, but there are two traps in the training course. The first is that I find out that each person you see is a puzzle. I love puzzles. Why are they moving that way? Why is this person taking it so easily? And what's her background? Why is it so clear for her? Why have I got to convince this person that what you think changes the way you move? Why they don't believe it? The student clinic that we did was a little taste of that. I would try to read things to understand better the person I was seeing a couple of days later, ask other teachers. I was obsessed. It's been nearly 20 years. I'm still obsessed with it. And it never ends, isn't it? It's a philosophy, it's a way of life, it's an endless. There is so many people doing amazing things. So if you want to study it, if I could, I would do training course. Every 2 years, a new one. So I was lucky. I got the training course in Melbourne that was a possibility for me. So I went, did the 3 years, and by the end of it, I'd like teach so much that I did a bit of my work, working with people with disability, and a bit of the Alexander technique teaching. And then that got bigger and bigger and bigger. And there was a point where it took over because it's what I really like to do. It's also good for me. And that's the second trap of the training course. 3 years, you train to teach. So my use, the way I move, is never as good as when I'm teaching.
Yeah.
So if I go on holiday and I don't teach for a few days, I go around, Mom, my husband, do you want a lesson? Do you want a little bit of work?
Yeah.
Always
Keep
happy.
your hand in.
I stay without it because I collapse. I lose it. I can't. I don't do it for myself. I'm lazy. I'm terrible. Teaching is good for me. And
Yeah.
that's how I'm doing it for myself too. I teach full time. I do group classes. I do single people. And I do love intensive work. I love when we have got a residential course because you've got the same people from early in the morning. I love when people start the training course because you see those changes coming in 1 week, 2 weeks. People change from completely different.
Yeah. So when did the yoga come in?
Okay. Now, with lots of respect for everyone who does yoga and loves yoga, I don't love yoga. Okay. And the head of my school is a yoga teacher who introduced and teaches the yoga as part of the training course. So it's one of those training courses with a structure. You get turns, then you get the group work. Once is yoga, once is anatomy, once is performance. So every day you've got a little program, changes term by term, but the yoga was part of it. The way we see it is that as much as you do chair work or table work, you apply the observation, inhibition, and direction to the movement of yoga. For the first year, I had to be dragged into classes. There were 20 of us training. So there was a group of 9, 10 doing the yoga, and the other group doing something with Jenny. She's an amazing teacher, and she was doing very good stuff, interesting anatomy, practical exploration of the mouth, voice. So once I was sick, once I was unwell, once I was tired, once I always had a good little excuse to avoid the yoga and go to class twice. And part of it is because you don't like what you're not good at. And it was reconstructed. I had no balance. I had no stamina. I'm hypermobile, so I didn't find any difficulty. But honestly, it was just plain boring. Yoga is boring. No one wins. There's no ball. Competition. Why do you do, that's the warm up before swimming. Why do you do an hour and a half of it? So there was this little identity crisis. I'm not a person who does yoga. I don't want to do it. And then there was the conversation in which the head of my school, who was very, very clever, said, okay, you don't have to do everything. Just observe the other, and then you'll tell me what you see. So I started to be very interested in the class. I did a bit of it, but most of the time I was just watching what other people were doing. And so the person that I was doing chair work with was doing a certain thing when they were doing the poses all the time. So suddenly I was kind of keen to go there and put my hands on. So I endured the 3 years of yoga, and I got kind of okay at the end of it, mostly because I changed into something I was teaching and not something I was learning. Even when I was doing it so I could work on it with other people. So I never really learned yoga. I haven't done a lot of other yoga. I just have David Moore, the head of the school in Melbourne, who is a real yoga teacher, one of the ones that went in India when they were 20. He's nearly 80 now. So he has got that experience of the real yoga, and I've accessed that in the last 20 years. And that's a bit the story of how I trained and how I got to be certificate as a yoga teacher. And is that I graduated in 2010 and I got permission to go to his classes and put hands on. He was doing the class and I was just going around adjusting people. It works beautifully because David has really integrated the Alexander technique with the yoga. So he doesn't do yoga with the Alexander technique. He's taken real liberties. He has created a new way of doing the poses that absolutely absorbs all the principle of the Alexander technique.
Okay.
It's slow yoga is a yoga that takes a lot of time to look how you get to the pose. But also it's very personal. So you walk into a class and instead of seeing everyone doing the same thing and the teacher doing it, you see everyone doing a different thing that works on the same group of muscles or on the same balancing pose. But I've got a problem in my knee, I'll do it lying down. You have got a problem in your shoulders, you'll do it from sitting in a chair. The other person has got a bit of a problem with balance, she's doing the same movement with her hands against the wall. So each of us has got that pose completely changed and organized to work perfectly for that pose. As an Alexander technique teacher prepares you for anything. Anyone can walk in and throw you a curveball. You know, I need to walk on 12 inches heels. Come in, show me how you do it. I need to, anything. They can come with anything. You have seen yoga poses adjusted for 15 years. You can change and modify and find a way to make anything work. To me, it's still weird when I go to a normal yoga class and I see the teacher maybe hypermobile going, bring your arms up and well up. And I'm kind of going, half of the class can't do that movement. Don't force people to push. Help them to find observation. So when I teach a yoga class, there is always a moment in which we pause before and we talk about that's a rotatory cuff, that's the arm going out. This is to back. This can be your spot. Find the spot where it works really well for you. And I really see people coming to class every week, changing, as if in lessons. Because the thing I really like about yoga is that it's got lots of balance in it. So it's a bit like being pregnant. You can't be a bit pregnant. You are or you're not.
Yes.
Yoga is a bit the same. Either you are in balance or you feel like you're falling. And that's the key to me that makes really the difference. We can teach online, we can teach groups, but we have got the hands, the magic. The entire yoga community doesn't know it, but they envy us because they go around adjusting people and they don't know how to do it. Have the hands. So some of them over the years have developed amazing skills. They'll see someone doing the pose or squinting down and they go, let your ears go away from you. I very much admire them because they had to do it by themselves. They didn't do it teaching them that squeezing your neck down when you sit and stand, that's bad. If you do it in a yoga pose, that's bad. So I've seen people doing it in lots of ways, but half of my classes often is yoga teachers. And it helps a lot because when I work with other yoga teachers, I am the first one to say, I'm the worst yoga teacher. I'm really not good. I know the poses, but if you come in with a pose I don't know, I'm very happy to look at it. And then I'll start going, how's that on your lower back? How's that on your shoulder? What fits you? And my favorite is when we do a course of 4 or 5 days and we say, there is poses that you can't do with people who have done a lot of yoga. There is poses that don't work well for you. Let's leave them for the 3rd or the 4th day, and then we'll look. And it's my favorite thing. It's really as satisfying as when someone goes, because you show them that there is something that they don't think they're doing. We get to the point where we say, okay, let's look at the poses that are more difficult for you. And this is when someone says, yeah, I can't do this one. And they just do it perfectly, beautifully. And they go, but I can't do it. What happened?
Yeah.
And oh, what happened? You've got your habits over the 2 years. Every time you arch your back, lift your shoulders, put your whatever it is that you do all the time that stops you from being able to do that pose, you've been dropping it.
Yeah.
So learning to do something is lots of it in the yoga classes. It's about
Mm.
dropping whatever you do. So it's chair work.
Yes. Yeah.
Chair work on a weird chair, if you
Yes.
want.
I love that moment where somebody says, "Oh, I didn't know I could do that." It's so kind of like, "Oh, how did I manage that?" It's great, isn't it? Because yoga poses can, as you say, look quite daunting, and I'm never going to be able to do that. But actually, to just go with it and trust and yeah, experiment a bit, explore, then oh wow, I did it. Must be so satisfying.
Yes. And observation, pause, and direction.
Yeah.
And then, of course, once you've done a bit of classes, once you've done a residential course, you come back and say, my Pilates classes are so much better now.
Yes.
We could do this one, and I really don't want to do it. And you look at that and you go, yeah, that doesn't work for your back. It actually encourages your back to bend in that spot that doesn't look very good on you. Yeah, we don't, just don't do it.
Yeah.
I never met anyone that says, no, you have to do that one.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much covered my next question was around the crossovers, and I think it's kind of yeah, I don't know whether there's something more specific about how the two mesh together, but I think that's really what you've been saying.
For me, they've gone very much together, as I explained. So I didn't have much experience of yoga before, so they've
Mm.
gone together. My Bible,
Aha.
Smart Yoga, the book that David wrote,
Mm.
it's really is two books because it's got one part on the Alexander technique, and then the second part goes in details with the yoga.
Hmm.
And I find that to me, it's enough. It gives
Hmm.
me all the information I need to do what I do.
Hmm.
And because I learned in the old style, I did about 10,000 hours. And then my teacher turned around and said, that's your certification. And I was like, oh, I'm a yoga teacher now.
Yeah.
I literally followed him around for about 10, 12 years.
Mm.
And then I called him and asked him a few questions about a workshop because someone asked me about doing a bit of yoga. There
Mhm.
is also a thing I always say to Alexander technique teacher, we are better than nothing. So even if you're not an expert on, tennis and someone asks you to do a workshop, what you know, it's enough. They
Mm.
know, they're the experts, so you can ask them, can you show me how you hit a ball? And then you look at them and you find, is there
Yeah.
anything? Oh, why
Yeah.
is your shoulder up?
Yeah. Exactly.
My
All in the
shoulder is up.
observation.
And that's the other thing. I think with whatever is that we are applying the Alexander technique, and I don't particularly like saying applying, I quite like just infusing,
Mm.
integrating. It's like salt. The Alexander salt. It makes everything better.
Yeah. Yeah. In moderation.
Absolutely. And we need salt to live. So
I like the idea that the Alexander technique underpins everything. So everything works better if you're applying, your Alexander technique thinking, your Alexander technique learning to whatever you're doing. And
yeah,
that's why we can adapt to anything that somebody comes in with. It's just
I,
the way it works.
yeah. And I think it doesn't make the thing less authentic. When we talk about using the Alexander technique or applying the Alexander technique to something,
Mm.
we have got the skill set to change it. It won't make
Yes.
it less authentic. It won't make the yoga that I teach is not yoga. It's still
Hmm.
yoga. There's a million yoga out there. But the one I teach allows people who had injuries or are not confident to learn enough to stand up properly, to sit
Mm.
down cross-legged, to learn that they need a purpose to sit down because their anatomy doesn't allow them to sit down on the floor. It teaches them to do it safely. And then
Mm.
they can go climbing, they can go Pilates, they can go any extreme sport because they've got the basis.
Yeah.
So it's not about me getting them into the most complex, absurd yoga poses. Sometimes it's about teaching them what they shouldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or for you and what's good for you, what helps. So I find I would like it calling basic, but I quite like it calling it smart yoga.
Brilliant, thank you. I do have one other question, which is, are there any differences between the people who come for yoga and the people who you teach sort of pure Alexander technique, if you like, who are coming for Alexander lessons? Have you noticed anything?
I would say that most of my clients go in between the two.
Ah,
When I get new people, they come for lessons, maybe. They do a block of lessons, 10 lessons, 50 lessons, how many they are gonna do. And then there is always a point where they go, oh, I've noticed you do yoga. Would that be good for me? Or
ah,
I'm finished with my 10 lessons, but I'd like to, kind of do a bit more, but would the yoga be good? So I've got quite a few people that go from the private lessons when they're finished, instead of disappearing, they start coming
brilliant.
to classes. And I
That's
make
really
it
good.
flexible so that people can pop in, do a few, go away, come back, book for the entire block. It's always a very similar structure. I start with a semi-supine, do movements lying down, do movements coming up, and then finish with a semi-supine. So in some ways, reminds or matches a part of the lessons.
Yeah.
And then I get the opposite thing. I get people who come to the yoga classes, so people who want to just do yoga. They come in. At the end of the first session, I always ask, is this what you were expecting? And they go, no. I like it. And most people go out with, oh, I learned this about myself that I didn't know. So it doesn't matter the level of yoga they've got. Usually people find something that they didn't know about themselves. Or they even say, I do the thing that I always tell my students not to do. But people get there by themselves. People are really clever. We don't need to give them a huge amount of information. It's very practical. What happens often is when the class is small, snows in, and I've got only 2 or 3 people, they get lots of hands-on, and they go, oh, is this like a private lesson? Because
Yeah.
again, I start in semi-supine and I go around taking heads.
Hmm.
If I've got 3 people, I take shoulders, I take a leg,
Yeah.
time, it's fun. And then, oh, what happened to your shoulders? I can't stop myself. But in that setting, I actually allowed to give a bit more because we've got more time. So usually whoever gets in one of those books a private lessons later because
Yes.
they kind of click what's the difference between the group session. And so I would say lots of people who come for the yoga are looking for a safe way to exercise because they work in a clinic, they may be there for the acupuncture or for something else. They see the advertising for the class. But the most of the new clients come from other people coming. So I've been there for 10 years, 13 years in Canterbury, in England. I've got a little hardcore group of people who come all the time to those classes. They are amazing. If you look at them moving, you would think they're all Alexander Technique teachers, or at least trainees. They pick up their shoes and their bags, and then they sit at the coffee shop and we judge people walking. If you do it long enough, it turns into a passion, a hobby. And it's them who say, the neighbors, Mom, my daughter is coming to visit, can she come? So, and that way you get all sorts of people. And usually when someone comes and doesn't show up again, I don't wonder because it's not about me. But often you meet them around and, they go, your class changed my life. I've been with that. And in your head, the little voice goes, why didn't you come back? I had twins. And you go, oh, how old are they? Oh,
Fair enough then.
well, okay, you had twins. But I'm coming back. And maybe, 6 or 7 years later, they show up. So you never know how much of a difference you make for a person with one, don't lock your knees. But my experience has been the yoga people, the real serious one, the amazing ones, they walk in and love it, appreciate what's in it. They are able to see that it is something there. It's missing all the bits, but you've got them. You don't need them for me.
Yeah.
Them already from your training, from your experience. I'm bringing something else.
That's wonderful. I've really enjoyed hearing your story about how you got into it and how the yoga and the Alexander's technique really mesh together. So thank you very much, Rossella, for speaking with me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.